Do you have the gift of prophecy? If you do, you can get very rich very fast. But in truth, prophecy isn't just a gift, but an art. The art consists of seeing that which is right smack in front of you, and it consists of putting two and two together. Now, Sherlock Holmes called it the science of deduction, although it was really the science of induction, for it consists of drawing inferences from certain details. For example, he could tell by the color of the mud on your shoe where you went walking that day. How then can you profit from this art? Here's an example. A college professor of mine told me of the time when he was a graduate student at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. It was during the 1950s, actually. Anyway, one day he visited one of his professors at his home, and the two of them sat chatting together on the professor's front porch. It was then that the two of them saw something that most people might not even notice or make anything of. But what the professor saw prompted him to call his real estate broker the very next day and to place his home on the market. I'll tell you what he saw in a moment. Greetings, folks. I'm Dr. Mark Dilloff, and I'm a consultant. I help people in business and in the business of living. Anyway, if I remember the story correctly, in the middle of their conversation, the two of them, the college professor and the graduate student, saw one of the professor's neighbors leave his house to walk to his mailbox to get his newspaper. What was unusual, though, is that the neighbor wasn't wearing a shirt, but rather just an undershirt. Apparently, the professor took this sartorial impropriety on his neighbor's part as a telltale sign, a dark omen of things to come. For the very next day, the professor placed his house on the market. The house sold fairly soon. It was a shrewd move, for within 6 months, the housing prices in that Baltimore neighborhood started declining significantly. Yes, all that from just watching a neighbor get his mail in an undershirt. Along these same lines, perhaps there's a restaurant that you frequented over the years, and then one day you notice something similar. Not a man in an undershirt, but you notice, for example, that they stopped bringing olive oil with the fresh bread when you sit down. No, you can no longer dip your bread in olive oil. For instead, they bring you some tabs of butter in those tinfoil packets that you rip open, and put your knife in and put it on the butter. It's just a little thing. But then within a year or so, you see that the restaurant has significantly declined in quality. It's not the same place anymore. Of course, what's true of restaurants is true of all business enterprises, which is why a good leader is concerned about the details. And so, here too, little things can allow you to predict the future. On other occasions, we perceive the truth, but because it's incongruous with our assumptions, we dismiss it. For example, back in the 1970s, I was working as a commodities broker on Wall Street. Those were the days when OPEC had a monopoly on the world's oil supply. Anyway, I kept on seeing the price of oil climbing higher and higher everywhere I read, such as the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, kept on predicting that it was going to oil was going to climb into the stratosphere in terms of its price. Well, almost everyone was saying that, for I had a client at the time who worked in the oil industry out in Oklahoma. He told me that everywhere he looked, he could see that Oklahoma and Texas was swimming in oil. There was a glut of oil. How could this be? I thought. Is it possible that he was right? While the prestigious New York Times and Wall Street Journal and the TV show Wall Street Week was wrong? I wish that I had listened to the fellow, for had I purchased puts on oil futures contracts, I would be a rich man today. For yes, within months, the price of crude oil started declining significantly. So sometimes we do manage to become privy to the truth. We hear it loud and clear, but we don't have the courage to act on it. And then the narrow window of opportunity closes. And so, most often, you don't need the gift of prophecy to predict the future. What you do need, though, is to listen and to look. For sooner or later, you will perceive the truth. It may be truth about yourself, about other people, about life, or about an investment opportunity. I guarantee that this will happen to you, certainly in the next few years, if not this week. And so, as the Boy Scouts recommend, be prepared. And then the question will be, will you trust your gut and act on what you perceive? And now it's time for a commercial. I offer business consulting in person in Louisville, Kentucky. I also offer it over the phone or through Skype, anywhere throughout the world. I also offer seminars. I can fly to your city or town to offer a seminar if my arms don't get too tired. And I've written a few books that are available for purchase on Amazon, BarnesandNobles.com, and elsewhere. Thank you.